All right, so are you ready to like really get into some deep thinking today?
I'm ready.
We're tackling Friedrich Nietzsche
Yeah.
and his ideas about happiness and power, which I got to tell you, they're a lot more complex and interesting than they might seem, at first glance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Our source material for this exploration is this YouTube video.
Right.
It's called Stop Running Away and Hug the Darkness. Brutal Psychology.
Interesting.
From the channel Art of Thinking.
I've seen that one before.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. I think you'll find that Nietzsche's ideas, even though he was writing, way back in the 19th century,
right,
are like surprisingly relevant to how we think about happiness today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's so true. And it's kind of amazing to me how some of these thinkers from like hundreds of years ago still resonate with us so much today.
It's true.
So what's the mission for this deep dive? What are we hoping to uncover?
I think we're going to unpack Nietzsche's perspective on how to live like a truly fulfilling life.
Okay.
Which, spoiler alert, might challenge some of those, feel-good messages that we're constantly bombarded with.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Like the, just be happy kind of thing.
Right, exactly. Like, he kind of flips the script a little bit. He suggests that maybe, just maybe, it's this like relentless pursuit of happiness that actually makes it so elusive.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is.
Because, isn't happiness, isn't that what we're all striving for?
It seems like it, right? But Nietzsche argues that the more we fixate on happiness as a goal, the more it kind of slips away. It's like trying to hold, water in your hands.
Right.
Like the tighter you grip, the faster it escapes.
I've never thought about it that way, but that's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
So it's like a paradox. We all want happiness, but the pursuit of it might actually be what's preventing us from achieving it.
Exactly. And I think part of the issue, according to Nietzsche, is that like our modern culture is so obsessed with comfort and quick fixes.
Yeah, so true.
Like we want to, avoid anything that's unpleasant.
Right.
But Nietzsche really believed that true fulfillment doesn't come from avoiding pain. Okay. It comes from embracing challenges, even suffering.
Okay, hold on. Embracing suffering.
Yeah.
That sounds a little intense.
I know, right?
Even for me.
It sounds a little counterintuitive, but well, it's not about like seeking out pain, for the sake of it.
Right.
It's more about recognizing that suffering is like an inevitable part of life. And like more importantly, it's a crucial ingredient for growth.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the idea that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But Nietzsche goes deeper.
Okay.
He argues that facing, difficult situations head on can teach us resilience, strength, and self-awareness.
Okay.
The video even uses this example of like this generation. Okay. That seemingly has everything it needs to be happy, but still feels this kind of emptiness. Right. Like something's missing.
So this constant chase for happiness could actually be creating a void in our lives.
It can, because it sets us up for disappointment.
Okay.
Real life is full of ups and downs.
Yeah.
And when we're always striving for this like perfect, blissful state, we're bound to come up short.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So where does Nietzsche's idea of the will to power fit into all of this?
Ooh, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm ready.
And it's important to understand that Nietzsche wasn't talking about power in like the traditional sense.
Okay.
Like dominating others or, amassing wealth.
Right, like a king.
Exactly. For him, will to power is more about self-mastery.
Okay.
It's about pushing your boundaries, overcoming obstacles, and like constantly striving to become like a better version of yourself.
So it's less about controlling others and more about controlling yourself.
Precisely. Like think about a time you overcame like a major hurdle in your life.
Oh.
Maybe you finally finished that project putting off or, you ran a marathon.
Yeah.
Remember that feeling of accomplishment?
Oh, yeah.
That feeling of, I did it.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's a taste of what Nietzsche meant by will to power.
Okay.
It's about tapping into your inner strength and using it to overcome challenges and like create something meaningful in your life.
That's a much more empowering way to think about power.
Right.
It's not about avoiding difficulty, but about using that difficulty as fuel to become stronger.
Exactly. And that ties into Nietzsche's belief that true power requires patience, hard work, and facing your fears head on, not running from them.
So instead of asking like, why is this happening to me? We should be asking, what can I learn?
Exactly. And that brings us to another important point. Nietzsche's concept of suffering as like a catalyst for growth.
Okay.
It might sound a bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, we're back to embracing suffering.
Right.
But I need like a concrete example.
Sure.
Because this whole idea still seems a little abstract to me.
Okay, so the video uses this really powerful example.
Okay.
Steve Jobs getting fired from Apple.
Oh, wow.
The company he co-founded.
Yeah.
That must have been a devastating blow.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that experience kind of pushed him in new directions, led him to grow in like unexpected ways.
All right.
And then eventually he returned to Apple, and well, the rest is history.
So what might seem like a massive failure at the time can actually be a redirection, a chance to reassess and come back even stronger.
Absolutely. And that's the heart of Nietzsche's argument, that suffering, if approached with the right mindset, can be like a powerful force for growth and self-discovery.
Wow.
It can teach us resilience. It can force us to reevaluate our priorities and ultimately lead to like a deeper understanding of ourselves.
So instead of viewing suffering as something to be avoided at all costs, we should see it as an opportunity for learning and growth. It's about shifting our perspective.
Instead of asking, why me? We can ask, what can I learn from this?
I love that.
Yeah.
This is all starting to make sense now, but I'm wondering, how do we apply this idea of embracing suffering to our own lives?
Right.
Because, I mean, not all of us are going to get fired from tech giants and come back to build empires.
Of course not. But I think it's about reframing our mindset.
Okay.
Instead of seeing challenges as roadblocks.
Yeah.
What if we saw them as opportunities?
Yeah.
Moments to like test our strength, build resilience, and learn something new about ourselves.
So it's less about the scale of the challenge and more about how we choose to approach it.
Exactly. And that leads us to one of Nietzsche's most important concepts.
Oh, boy.
Self-overcoming.
Okay, let's unpack that one.
Right.
What exactly is self-overcoming?
Well, it's not a one-time achievement. It's like an ongoing process. It's about constantly pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones, facing our fears, and striving to become like the best versions of ourselves.
So it's like a continuous cycle of growth and self-improvement.
Exactly. And each obstacle we overcome equips us to face the next one, building our resilience and shaping us into stronger individuals.
I'm getting a real like leveling up vibe here.
I like that.
Like in a video game, you know, where each challenge you conquer gives you experience points, making you stronger for the next level.
I like that analogy a lot.
Yeah.
It really captures the essence of self-overcoming.
Yeah.
And with each victory, like our confidence grows, encouraging us to take on even greater challenges.
So it's not about avoiding challenges altogether,
right,
but about seeking out the right ones, the ones that push us to grow and evolve. But how do we know which challenges are the right ones?
Right.
Does Nietzsche offer any guidance on that?
He does, and this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, let's hear it.
He believed that true strength comes from pursuing goals that are aligned with our inner values and passions, not just external validation or societal expectations.
So it's about defining success on our own terms.
Exactly.
Not conforming to what others expect of us.
It's about digging deep and understanding what truly motivates us.
Right.
What gives our lives meaning and purpose.
Okay.
And that leads us to another crucial aspect of Nietzsche's philosophy, the importance of setting meaningful goals.
I have a feeling this is where things get even more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So let's dive into that.
Let's do it.
All right. So we've established that setting meaningful goals is key.
Right.
But what does Nietzsche actually mean by meaningful?
Right.
Feels like that word gets thrown around a lot these days.
Yeah, that's a great point. For Nietzsche, meaningful goals aren't about chasing like fleeting pleasures or external validation.
Okay.
They're about aligning your actions with like your deepest values and passions.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that they shouldn't be static either.
Okay.
Like they should evolve as we grow,
right,
and challenge us to step outside of our comfort zone.
So it's not just about setting a goal and achieving it.
Right.
It's about constantly pushing ourselves further, embracing new challenges,
right,
and always raising the bar.
Exactly. Think about the difference between wanting to be wealthy just for the status,
right,
and wanting to create something that makes like a positive impact on the world.
Mm-hmm.
Both are ambitious goals,
right,
but the latter comes from like a much deeper place.
It's like the difference between chasing external validation and pursuing something that truly resonates with your core values.
Precisely. And this ties back to the idea of self-overcoming that we talked about earlier.
Right.
The pursuit of meaningful goals,
right,
the kind that really lights you up, becomes like a driving force for continuous self-improvement.
Yeah.
And that's what ultimately leads to a more fulfilling life.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
But if we're constantly striving for self-improvement, embracing challenges, and even suffering,
yeah,
where does happiness fit into all of this?
Right.
Does it just become an afterthought?
That's the fascinating thing about Nietzsche's philosophy.
Okay.
He doesn't see happiness and power as like mutually exclusive.
Okay.
In fact, he argues that they are intertwined.
So it's not about choosing one over the other.
Right.
It's about recognizing that they can coexist and even complement each other.
Exactly. When we focus on cultivating our power, on becoming like the best versions of ourselves,
Right.
happiness becomes like a natural byproduct of that journey.
It's like that feeling of accomplishment after a tough workout.
Yes.
You push yourself to your limits. You might have even felt some pain.
Yeah.
But the sense of satisfaction and pride that follows is undeniable.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of happiness Nietzsche's talking about. It's
Yeah.
not fleeting or superficial.
Right.
It's a deep sense of fulfillment that comes from living a life of purpose and
So instead of chasing happiness directly, we should focus on building our strength, our resilience, and pursuing those goals that truly ignite our passion.
precisely. And when we do that, happiness will find us.
Yeah.
It becomes a companion on our journey, a natural consequence of our growth and self-discovery.
It's like that old saying, happiness is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
But Nietzsche takes it a step further.
He does.
He suggests that the journey itself, the pursuit of self-mastery, is what ultimately leads to true happiness.
And that journey isn't always easy.
Right.
It's filled with challenges, setbacks, even moments of doubt.
Yeah.
But it's through those challenges that we discover our true strength and resilience.
It's about embracing the struggle, accepting that discomfort is a necessary part of growth, and finding meaning in the pursuit of something greater than ourselves.
And that's a powerful message for anyone feeling lost or unfulfilled in today's world.
Yeah, it really is.
So what does this all mean for us here in the 21st century?
Right.
How can we apply Nietzsche's ideas to our own lives?
Yeah, that's the big question.
It is.
It's one thing to talk about these concepts in theory, but how do we actually put them into practice?
Well, I think it starts with a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing challenges as roadblocks, we can choose to view them as opportunities for growth.
Like those level up moments in a video game.
Exactly.
We need to embrace the difficult bosses, the tricky puzzles.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that ultimately make us stronger, more skilled players.
Exactly. And it's also about setting those meaningful goals we talked about earlier.
Right.
We need to dig deep to understand our values and pursue goals that align with who we truly are, not just what society dictates.
So it's about defining success on our own terms and having the courage to pursue a path that might be different from what others expect of us.
And we need to be willing to push ourselves beyond our comfort zones, to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth and self-discovery.
Right, right.
Remember, Nietzsche argued that true strength doesn't come from avoiding difficulty, but from facing it head-on.
So it's not about seeking out suffering for the sake of suffering, but about recognizing its potential as a catalyst for transformation.
Right. It's about understanding that growth often happens outside of our comfort zone, and that embracing those challenges rather than fearing them is essential for personal development.
This has been a truly insightful conversation.
It has.
But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear any final thoughts you have on how we can apply Nietzsche's ideas to our lives.
Oh, okay.
What's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think for me, it all comes back to Nietzsche's idea of amor fati, learning to love,
Right.
embracing the good and the bad, the ups and the downs.
It's about accepting that life is full of both joy and sorrow, and that trying to avoid the difficult parts only diminishes, the richness of the entire experience.
It's like trying to appreciate a beautiful painting by only looking at the bright colors and ignoring the shadows.
Yeah.
The shadows give the bright colors depth.
Right.
And make them stand out even more.
I like that.
And I think that's a powerful message for anyone feeling overwhelmed by the pressures of modern life.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a reminder that it's okay to not be okay all the time. It's okay to struggle, to experience setbacks, to feel pain.
Right.
Those experiences are all part of what makes us human.
And it's in those moments of darkness, of confronting our fears and limitation, that we often discover a strength and resilience we never knew we had.
Absolutely. Remember, for Nietzsche, it's not about achieving some permanent state of happiness,
Right.
but about embracing the process of becoming, of constantly striving to become the best versions of ourselves.
And that process, as we've discussed, isn't always going to be easy or comfortable.
Right.
There will be times when we stumble, when we question our path, we feel like giving up.
Yeah.
But it's in those moments of self-doubt that we need to remember Nietzsche's call to self-overcoming.
To dig deep, to tap into that inner strength, and to push ourselves beyond what we thought was possible. It's a continuous cycle of challenge and growth.
It's like Nietzsche is giving us permission to be imperfect, to embrace the messiness of life, and to find meaning and purpose in the journey, not just the destination.
And I think that's a really liberating message.
It is.
It allows us to let go of the pressure to be perfect, to have it all figured out, and to simply focus on becoming the best versions of ourselves, one step at a time.
The video ends with a really thought-provoking question.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's the perfect way to wrap up our deep dive.
Okay.
It asks, if you were to live your life again and again, would you make the same choices?
Wow, that's a powerful question.
It is.
It really forces us to examine our lives with intentionality and purpose.
Right.
Are we living in a way that we'd be proud to repeat, even with all the challenges and hardships?
Yeah.
Or are we just going through the motions?
It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our own destiny, to create a life that is truly fulfilling, even with all its inevitable ups and downs.
And if Nietzsche's ideas have resonated with you today, I encourage you to delve deeper into his work.
Yeah.
There's a wealth of wisdom waiting to be uncovered. You might not agree with everything he says.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you'll find his perspective challenging, thought-provoking, and ultimately life-changing.
So to sum it all up, Nietzsche challenges us to rethink our relationship with happiness.
Yeah.
To embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and to strive for a life of meaning and purpose.
And to remember that true happiness isn't a destination.
Right.
It's a journey of self-discovery and self-overcoming.
This has been such a fascinating conversation.
I agree.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Nietzsche.
Of course.
We'll be back next week with another fascinating topic to explore.
Sounds good.
Until then, keep questioning, keep growing, and keep embracing the power within you.